ArtYard is based in Frenchtown, New Jersey. We are here to foment collaborations that are joyful, meaningful, and transformational.
Frenchtown, New Jersey is a quaint town on the banks of the Delaware River with a thriving arts community. ArtYard, with its brand new gallery spaces, theater, and residencies for artists, is at the center of it all. Internationally acclaimed Cuban artist Alexandre Arrechea's exhibition at ArtYard is called Landscape and Hierarchies. He created all the work during a residency at ArtYard. The watercolors, sculptures, and multimedia installations reflect his impressions of Frenchtown.
Frenchtown, I think, is a beautiful community, and I just love it here, especially as a creator, and the possibility of walking around this pleasant and beautiful place.
Elsa Mora is ArtYard's artistic director and curated Alex's show. She first met Alex in Havana in the early 1990s.
This is a very emotional experience for me. I have been involved in the art world for like forever. I mean, I started at the age of 9.
His first works of art were photographs and drawings of colonial-era architecture in Trinidad, Cuba, the city of his birth.
He very early on developed an attraction to the environment, the landscape, and the architecture. So that's a foundational element in what he has done.
Sport, as a metaphor and exploration of competition and human interaction, is also a recurring theme. The title work at his ArtYard exhibition, Landscape and Hierarchy, deals with golf.
The context is a forest out of glass. So you have glass trees. So you better be careful with your power, because it might actually put in trouble the entire situation. The way I work is perhaps to put you in a situation that you seem like you are able to manage it, but at the same time you have to reflect how you're going to act on that particular situation. In 1991, after being studying for quite some time already, along with 2 other art students, we created a project under the name of Los Carpinteros.
Alexandre experienced success as an artist from a very young age when he was working with Los Carpinteros. And as a collective, they were able to show their work in many museums around the world.
I was part of that project for like 12, 13 years until 2003. I decided to take a detour and create my own work. So somehow I'm right now celebrating those 20 years of solo work. So that's why this exhibition is particularly important for me, because it's in 2003 I didn't know the future is gonna be.
In fact, over the past 20 years, Alex has created major works around the world. Dreaming Lions is a public sculpture on Miami Beach inspired by Hemingway's Old Man and the Sea. Katrina Chairs is a 50-foot-high sculpture created for the Coachella Music Festival in California, inspired by Hurricane Katrina's devastating impact on New Orleans. In New York, Alex created a series inspired by the city's iconic buildings. Exhibited down the center of Park Avenue, No Limits plays on the idea of elastic architecture as a metaphor for constant change and evolution. For his residency at ArtYard, Alex was again inspired by the environment.
I think the 71-foot-long watercolor that was made using water collected from the Delaware River is pretty extraordinary. Having watched him do it, I don't know how one person could do what he did.
I always explain that actions obviously have consequences. And in this case, one main element that is sort of like the guidance for the entire exhibition is the fact that I have been going to the river to collect water to create the work that I'm doing. Specifically, a watercolor under the title River and Ripples, which means actions and consequences.
One of my main jobs here was working alongside Alexandre Arrechea, mainly just documenting his whole filming process of putting all these watercolors together. And one of my side jobs to do along with that is take Polaroids of the process, and one other aspect was to kind of take the bucket and put it around towns. He wanted to show the bucket was integrating with the local Frenchtown environment.
There are a series of videos that I have created here in ArtYard that you can see through a peephole. And what you're gonna see there is the artist, myself, fighting with myself. I mean, this is a sort of an ambush that I have created, but I don't see the next guy on the other side, which happens to be myself. So that idea of failing to recognize ourselves is something that is a very important issue for me. You know, in the end, we are all the same, but we fail to recognize that. So because the idea here basically is to invite people to write what they want to see here. We're gonna change the chalk from place and to write what people wish to be written here. As you see, this is placed in the area where the mouth is, so it's like giving voices to those faces.
There is something very similar about all Cuban artists, and it's a small island, and in a way we know each other. And it is this sense of huge amount of curiosity. And being Cuba in particular, it was very hard for anybody to travel out of Cuba. So Alex is extremely Cuban in the way that he has an infinite sense of curiosity for absolutely everything.
For me, to create art is something that is rooted on the idea this should be important to people. This is not about creating beautiful paintings. I want to create situations that make people to think about the immediate reality that you live in.